You
The
said
guy used to
storage?
have some kind of record store there, but he's currently just storing his stuff there, and it's not an operating business.
So keep in mind that there is also going to be an element where, like, this is a perfect example of like, hey, let's take a step back. Let me call the township. Let me look at the zoning map. Let me explore a little bit of like, what is this probably or the highest likelihood of going to continue looking like if we bought it today, regardless of the price. We could buy it for zero. It's like it's your uncle. All right, you're helping out your dad, right? Like whatever, right? Like who owns the property, right? What is this most likely to be? We can take it like based on what the township says, what the zoning map says, like and all these different things. We can kind of make some type of assumption of like, okay, this might turn into X. This might just be a small retail store, right? This might be two, three, four shops. This might end up being a four spaces at 1,200 square foot ish each. You know what I mean? Right? Like five spaces at 1,000 and change a foot each, right? Like you got a little nail salon, a little pizzeria. You know, it might turn into that. I don't know. Like I'm making assumptions, obviously, right? But then you could look at like, okay, well, if that is going to be the case, great. Then it will probably be this type of rent because quarter mile away, half a mile away, more retail is looking like this. This will probably be discounted at 25%, right, for being in this location. And then you can say like, okay, if you talk to the town and the town says, hey, we actually don't want any retail here. We actually prefer that this is industrial. We want storage here. We want this here. We want whatever, right? They're going to tell you what they actually would prefer. Based on zoning, you might only be able to, hypothetically, if the guy leaves, which is hypothetically, it's currently grandfathered, you might have to actually put houses there. You don't know, which is why I'm saying like doing a little bit more research and digging into this type of stuff is going to give you a gauge. But let's just say for whatever reason, you can get, say $6 a foot in this market. And I'm gonna say $6 a foot. I'm thinking like 4, 5, 6 net. Does that sound about right? What's
I
like a
underwrote
mile
it
away retail?
actually. I mean, 12 to some of the newer stuff is like 20,
What's industrial?
8, 9. Yeah.
I'm ballparking here, right? This is not, this is like making assumptions, guys. Like, again, like, this is why I say take a step back and ask the questions. Like, again, like, I'm not even trying to tell you, like, this is me making assumptions, and I would still call the township. Let's call the township. Let's have a conversation. What do you want to see here? Now, I'm talking to my, I'm actually speaking with my, with the client. He's an old, I would literally be like, it's an old family friend, and he called me up and he says he's considering selling. And he just wants to get a gauge of what can be done with the building. I'm a real estate
Yeah, for
agent.
sure.
I'm not sure what could be done here. That's why I'm calling. I act stupid, right? Like I don't. Can you give me an idea of what I could do with this? Talk to the zoning officer. Okay. So let's say $8 a foot. Let's say let's see here, $8 a foot, and then maybe we can get it to 10. I don't know. Based on what he's at. Actually, let's say it's going to be zero. That makes more sense. Let's say we're buying it vacant, and we believe that it could be worth $8 a foot. $8 a foot, and we're going to say between 2 and 8 quarters. All right. This is us making massive levels of assumptions. Okay, and this is 8 gross, by the way. Okay, it's vacant now, 8 gross in the future. Let's go to some expenses.
I don't think I emailed
Oh,
you the
taxes.
spreadsheet.
Go ahead.
Yeah, taxes 1,755.
That's your total annual taxes? Jesus Christ, I gotta move here.
I mean, it's assessed at 180K. So
I'm messing around. Insurance, let's see, water sewer, management RM, utilities total of 4 grand. So I'm gonna leave 6,000 there. Landscaping, miscellaneous, you got 1,000. Management 4%, five's fine. You're not going to need any of this nonsense. Repairs and maintenance, you're probably going to have like what, $3,600 a year. I mean, it's like a tiny little property. Trash removals, do 20, probably $1,200. Marketing, probably 6 grand a year with a leasing agent. All right. You get snow in your area?
I mean, snow removal is not really a factor on the
That's,
expense sheet.
that's what I figured. Okay. All right. So we're at 22 and a half grand, something like that. I mean, in expenses, you have 13. I guess I can take this down to 4 grand. This is probably more accurate. You're at like 17 and a half grand. Let's go to now a summary page. It's saying my future value is only going to be 290,000, so paying 400 would be ridiculous. You offered 195. This is why I'm saying making assumptions can kind of give you guidance, right? Like we're looking at at a 290 value at a 9 cap, right? And this is in 5 years from today. I'm losing $20,000 annually a year. Let's go to 25 grand. How much in capex do you think this needs?
I haven't toured the property. I mean, it was built in the 60s. So
All right, let's say 50.
I don't know. Yeah, $5 a foot, $10 a foot.
75K total. That includes covering my deficit. Okay, well, this gives you more of an idea. It's like, okay, well, look, my future value is only $290,000. If I bought it today for 200, if I bought it today for 195, I had 50 grand extra for renovations, and I'm covering my deficit, obviously, of being negative for a little while. Where do I need to be? Well, clearly, I'm have a not exactly stellar IRR here. I can probably drop this down to 25K. Not that it changes anything, but like I look at it as my stabilized yield actually isn't horrible, but my equity multiple is negative. I'm looking at this where do I need to be at this point? Even paying 195 is not a good deal, right? If based on what we're looking at right now, we're exactly accurate, it's not a good deal. If we go to our income and say, actually, based on our assumptions, we can actually get, instead of $8 a foot, we truly believe we can get 12. After speaking with the township, we feel more comfortable, whatever it is. Now it's actually going to be worth 540, and all of a sudden this deal can be unbelievable at 195, even though you're buying it at a majorly negative leverage day one. So it's double checking and really confirm. I mean, like, look, I don't like trying to buy deals where I'm the first one to do something in an area. This is why I hate rural properties, like super rural property. I was just sent a 60,000 square foot warehouse in the middle of nowhere. I think it was in like Iowa or something like that. You could give me this property for $5. I'm not exactly thrilled to have it, right? Like it was literally in the middle of nowhere, miles and miles and miles, like 50 miles to the nearest anything, right? And they have a tenant that's leaving. I'm like, you're fucked. Who wants to rent in the middle of nowhere, right? You're just screwed. Like, it's just not something we want. So keep in mind, like this type of location, obviously in New Jersey, there's a lot of areas where, like, even in really nice areas, it's going to be really strange to have a lonely retail spot in the middle of a bunch of houses where you're like, you're going to spend a lot of money and maybe you can, get lucky with certain types of tenancy, but like most of the time it's going to be tough. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. So like I would just be more cautious. Like your entire deal depends on what you think you can rent it for in the future. This type of deal already sketches me out unless you know for sure, like for sure where you're going to be market wise, and your seller actually gets a lot more serious in regards to pricing. I don't know where you're going to be priced. You're obviously still going to be sub 500 no matter what. I mean, like there's rarely ever going to be north of that, even in 5 years from today.
Yeah, I mean, makes perfect sense. Going back to your point about the town, I've traded emails with them after I missed them on the phone. So I'll give them a call back today and just see kind of what the highest and best is. There's a church across the street. There's an automotive shop around the corner, but I mean, it is surrounded by houses. So there is some precedent for commerce there, but let's kind of see what the town wants to do. And then a buddy of mine had an idea to kind of put up a Craigslist listing, which is kind of a gray area, but just see what traction it gets or take a look at kind of what space rents for in this area. Just maybe not super buttoned up space because this isn't really like true retail. But yeah, I mean, everything you're saying is tracking. And I think
I'd be curious to hear what your leasing agent. I'd be curious to hear what your leasing agent says that he can rent it for. If you want to make a copy of this sheet, it's already set up. You just can plug in your thing. I'm gonna get everyone in here real fast.